Into the studio here, and from the Port of Shelton, Dick Taylor, Wendy Smith. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to see y'all here.
You too.
Boy, the frost is on the pumpkin this
You ain't
morning.
kidding. So Dale and Jerry came in last hour. They were up at the Sanderson Field there, letting the dogs go for a little run, and they said beautiful. Of course,
Yeah.
There's,
Yeah.
you can see for miles, and the sun and or not the sun, the moon and the stars. It wasn't a very long trip out there
Yeah.
for the dogs. They
Yeah,
chilled
Doug
out
said the
for
heck
a
with it.
bit.
We're not being out in this cold
But the
weather.
Frozen place.
afternoons are beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be 50 today, Spencer? Is that
Yeah,
what you're
about
saying?
51, yeah.
Wow.
Before we get into the conversation, there are walkable opportunities
Yep.
up there to kind of
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
All over the place, yeah.
Property
Beautiful
there.
views of the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
beautiful.
not a
Yeah,
ton of
and-
traffic.
yeah,
You
no-
have to be aware that it is an industrial park, but I mean, it's pretty low key.
yeah,
So
and you don't have to do anything. You have to come check in with you
Nope.
guys, or
You got to come in and park.
just go
Yep.
visit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yep.
very neat.
Yep.
Retreat happened. What was the big topic on the retreat?
Well, we spent most of the retreat looking at finances. It was exciting as heck.
I'm sure. Yeah.
We went through we looked at our financial picture so that we can use that in building a future strategy as to what we want to do.
Uh-huh.
And it took quite a while to do that, probably,
Mm-hmm.
4 hours.
Wow.
of looking at us. And we looked at it in depth and down to the minute portions of it. But what it showed us is that we're financially viable.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing okay. We've got our budget is between $3.5 and $4 million a year.
Wow.
We have a reserve of around $4 million,
Mm-hmm.
close to $4 million. So we've got some stuff that we can work with, and how can we best utilize those funds to promote business and economic development?
We talk often about your annual audits and things like that, and how you come away with the clean bill of health each time. Does that help when you do these types of retreats to look at the numbers going, well, we are pretty much sure, as sure as we can be, that all this stuff will shake out and everything looks good here, as opposed to any sort of lingering questions you may have?
In my mind, what the audit does is the audit just tells you you're doing it right.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the audit is so much more than just financial.
Right.
Yeah.
That they go through. I mean, they go
Accountability.
through and they look
Oh,
at.
they look at hammers and all.
They
sorts
look
of
at
stuff.
everything. Accountability
yeah.
tools. They go back and read your minutes. Are you doing things the way you say you're gonna? That your regulations say you're gonna do them?
Uh-huh.
I mean, they look at all that sort of thing.
Wow.
So it's much more than that. But what the audit does is gives you confidence that you have a baseline that you're doing it right.
Sure.
Well,
And
and
that
it
you
gives
can trust your stuff.
it gives potential funders, if we were to go out to issue bonds,
Sure.
it gives them, gives you a higher rating.
Oh,
So,
yeah, okay.
clean audit, a lot of times you can't go and issue bonds if you don't have a clean audit. So it gives them the reassurance that you're doing your business right, your financials look good,
Yeah.
and you're not going to dissolve. So, but one of the things that I don't know if everybody realizes, but we have a what's called a debt capacity. And so, we have X amount of dollars in the bank, but we also owe for we have I think we have
Three bonds left.
previous bonds that we were issued in 2003 and 2005, and so we're still paying those down. They're all coming,
Sure.
and they come down every year. We also have the curb loans. We
Yeah,
have one from 96 that's almost done, so
Wow.
those are 20-year. So all that calculates into a factor known as your debt capacity. And so if you look at the assessed value that the county publishes, so our assessed value is $2 billion, almost
Yeah.
$2.5
$2.5
billion
billion,
dollars
yeah.
total for our district. That, minus these bond amounts gives you a number that wouldn't be a very good number to go get bonds on because you also have excess other, costs involved. But it gives you a figure that you can work with that you don't have to go out to your voters. It's your capacity to use. If the values go down, like they did a few years back, then if you bond that exact amount, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so there's all kinds of factors. So it isn't the most interesting topic in the world, but it's important. And I think stemming from that, it gives us a picture of, okay, what do we have? What could we do? And then now what are we going to do? So that's the fun part.
Yeah, and
So,
in that light, we're going to have another, we're going to call it a workshop
mm-hmm.
for strategic planning. What are we going to do? Here we know what our capacity is now.
Mm-hmm.
or our estimated capacity, and what are we going to do with
Sure.
that? And so we're going to have a whole session on that kind of, with those kinds of discussions.
When you look at those types of paybacks, you meant 96, so it's a couple decades ago and things like that. Do you ever, like in a home budget, say, well, we got our 30-year mortgage. If we add another payment once a year, then it cuts it down this way. Is that a conversation that entities like this have, or do they say, well, we're set in this amount, and it just makes sense to keep with that through the long term?
You absolutely have that conversation.
Yeah.
And a few years back, we had another, it was drinking water state revolving fund, some kind of loan or curb.
Yeah.
It was something, and we paid it off early. And it was due to the interest rate was higher than, we thought. We didn't have much owing, so we just said, let's pay it off early. So that kind of conversation does happen. If we were to go out for a new project and issue bonds, we may look at refinancing the current bonds. So you could refinance like a mortgage, you could refinance through the term of the new bond, or you could say, keep the term of those, let's just get them, down to a different, some kind of different variable.
Sure.
So there's all kinds of, but it's very similar to your own, household in terms of you're just looking at a bigger picture. So, and then there's laws, of course, because we're public.
Right.
So, yeah.
What else is going on up at Sanderson Field? Anything good else?
Well,
trucking
in that
along?
light, the former fairgrounds, which is what are we calling it now? The
Aeronautical park?
Aeronautical Park.
Not officially, but that's kind of
the moniker we applied to it. We're the salvaging of those buildings is taking place right now. as we
Okay.
speak. And one of the sheriff's office came in and used some of them as a training device. They practiced blowing doors off
Oh, wow.
hinges and things
Oh,
like that. So it was
yeah.
exciting out there.
I
Last
bet.
week.
Yeah, it was a
Week and a half
couple weeks
ago,
ago.
yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago. So they were able to work with the contractor. We put that out for bid, and Hanson Excavations, our contractor, and they contacted him and said, would there be a possibility if you're taking these down? So he granted that,
Oh,
and
that's
so
cool.
they were able to train a little bit. Then his crew has taken a little bit longer than planned because they are using some for salvage. So they're grabbing what they can out of these buildings. There's some big timber beams, there's
Metal.
electrical, wiring, not a ton of stuff, but they're salvaging what they can. So not just, ripping apart the buildings, but
It's been, 5-6 years since anything's been up there, really? The last
Yeah.
fair
Oh, yeah.
and things
yeah,
like
I think
that?
it was, 14 or
So is there
15.
still salvageable material?
Oh, yeah,
Or if,
yeah,
if
yeah.
a group looks at it and goes, I don't know, for whatever reason,
Well,
the
that'd
big
be
stage popped in my head, but
oh,
things like
stuff of no.
No.
you did
No.
all that already.
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
done. What
surplus
this is
sales a couple
structural
years
stuff.
ago.
Yeah.
We did the surplus, and we allowed all the groups to come in over and over and over again, and they kept appearing, as time went on. So 4-H, I think, kept coming more and more because they had cages and different things.
Yeah.
But no, that happened quite a while ago.
Sure,
We haven't, but no, this is more building, the building supplies.
Structural
is-
stuff, yeah.
the salvage that they can do. So you're not just, tearing down stuff and throwing it in the landfill.
burning
You're
it or
actually,
whatever, yeah.
yeah.
I guess
So-
we don't burn stuff anymore.
Not so much. I don't
Yeah.
think, regardless. Anyways, interesting there, the aeronautical park. I kind of like that, especially since it does
Yeah.
have that tie-in with the FAA. It does
Right.
have to have the aviation use
Right.
there that we've talked about over the years. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with that and the rest of Sanderson
Yeah.
Field.
Yeah, and one of the things that I think we're going to start to explore is setting up a plan for that space. It could be years away, but one of the things it needs is access to the runway, and so starting to maybe do a plan, some kind of planning grant where we hire someone, a firm that would come in and look at our airport layout plan and fit with it how that site could lay out.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it'll be exciting, and then we
Yeah.
can start to market it.
Yeah, and the key is access to the runway.
Yeah. Roll
Yep.
over the old parking lot
Right.
there
Yep.
and into
Yep.
the,
Whatever,
into the
yeah.
fence line. Very cool. Dick Taylor, Wendy Smith, always good to see you guys.
You too.
Stay
Good to be here.
warm out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Good to see you.